Hello, 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 my friend. I'm so excited to be here, back in your ear for another podcast episode. It's been several months since I have recorded, but you did just get an episode from me like last week, I think. So anyway, if you haven't listened to that, that was, I think, another great episode. But today I am coming in with you fresh to talk about Black Friday. We're not talking about Black Friday strategies. Well, we are talking about Black Friday strategies, but this is more of like a last minute in case you want to pivot, if you need a little bit of feedback. This is especially for digital product creators and even more specifically for knitting and crochet pattern designers. You might find this especially insightful because I already hosted my Black Friday sale. I called it not Black Friday. And I have some insights that I thought I would share with you in case it's helpful for you for your Black Friday sales. So I'd say overall, we're seeing it's reflective of like what we're seeing in general in the industry. So yeah, let's go ahead and dive into it. So what I did, my strategy, I did 5 days of a different deal every single day for 50% off the featured product of that day. And the reason I did that was so that I could highlight several different offers and have that urgency built into it and not just like be bombarding them about the same thing for the whole event. I have enjoyed as a consumer that kind of style in the past, and so I decided to use it for myself. I know I've thought about it in the past. I don't think I've ever done this before because I kind of have been a bit less present in my business in the last couple of years, like the last couple of Black Fridays. Last year, I was like postpartum, and the year before that, I was pregnant. So yeah. And then, yeah, so it's been a couple years since I've really probably had a proper Black Friday, but as a pattern designer, I have always, historically, I found Black Friday a bit challenging because I was only selling knitting patterns. Like I had diversified my incomes, but Snickerdoodle Knits was still just patterns. I had done for a little bit a Patreon, I'd done for a little bit a membership course learning thingy. I didn't love those things, and so they didn't they didn't last that long. But yeah, so around this Black Friday time, every single year we have the indie gift along, we have the fast and off yarn along, and they have their own coupon sale discounts going on at the same time. So it can often feel like there's just a lot of like busyness, a lot of like noise, like a lot of just like pattern sales going on. And so to find something that is unique and different and incentivizing to get people to purchase patterns can feel complicated. So that's another reason why that is a reason why I did the Black Friday sale early. Part of it just because in general the Black Friday time is like just so noisy and loud and busy and all of the things. And then in part also to just kind of have the anti-Black Friday messaging, but still give people the deals. Especially, every year I think we see more and more people just like a societal shift towards or discussion around not supporting corporations for Black Friday, that kind of thing. And so just kind of supporting that while still allowing people to support small business owners in a way that's not on Black Friday. That's not to say that you can't do it. That's just explaining my position. Obviously, if you're listening to this for, ideas and feedback for your own Black Friday deal this year, you're probably not doing it super early. But maybe it's something that you want to keep in mind for the future. So, like I said, I did 5 different days, 5 different deals. I sent an email at 6 o'clock that morning, and then I sent a reminder email 4 hours before the sale ended. The sale ended at midnight just because that was the easiest way to do it on my platform. I was using Thrivecart for my sales platform, and so they don't let you choose a time. It's just dates. So it just ended at midnight my time. So I sent an email at 4 hours before that, which was 8 p.m. my time. So they essentially had between 6 a.m. and 8 p.m. And then, yeah, so I'll just break down all the different days, what I saw, the trends that I saw, and my recommendations for you for your Black Friday sales. And, sales in general, kind of what we know to be true as online sellers, as small business owners selling digital products. So day one was actually my best day. Okay, I'll also follow this or start this by saying that I have not been as consistent as I used to be with my email list. So this email list has maybe gotten emails from me once every week to 2 weeks, probably on average over the last couple of months. And then I also had several people join over a couple different summits and things that maybe they haven't seen a whole lot of my emails before they got this. And even though I had planned this stuff out, I had not gotten the content together. I had not gotten everything finalized in advance. And then I realized, like, oh my goodness, it's like time to like publish this. And I still haven't told my audience that this has happened. So what I typically probably would have done was an explanation email before it started. So that might be a few days before it started, or just in like my general, whatever my weekly newsletter email would have been, including it in there. Saying, hey, this is coming up. This is my idea. I'm going to be doing this. You're going to be receiving more emails than normal. Some people also share like, hey, these are the products that I'm going to have on sale. This is what the sale is going to be. So then people can keep an eye out for it. I am planning to do more of that kind of thing with Full Circle Entrepreneurship. So I am doing a slightly early Black Friday. I'm doing it the beginning of the week of Black Friday for that, just because I didn't want to have these two sales overlapping, because there are some people who are on both lists. So I don't want people to get 4 emails every single day. So that does make it a little bit more complicated. But anyway, and I didn't want to have them back to back for that same reason. So, yeah, I ran this, by the way, from Friday morning to Tuesday morning. My idea there was knitters specifically, like the crafters, they are going to be more present often over the weekend in their email, in actually like looking for projects and things like that. So that is why I chose to do it over the weekend for my business to business. For the Full Circle Entrepreneurship, I will be doing that not over the weekend. I can't remember if I'm starting it Sunday or Monday, but might be, I think it's starting Sunday, but that's more so because business owners do look at their email a lot of times Sunday evenings or Sunday afternoons, and because I don't want it to run into Black Friday. So it will run right up to Black Friday. Yeah, okay, so I gave a little bit of the perspective around what these subscribers, specifically for the Snickerdoodle Knits, list, this deal, what they've been used to in terms of email. So day one, like I said, it was actually my best sale day. I don't know 100% if that was because this was the first they'd heard of like this wholesale idea at all, or if they just really liked the offer. I'm guessing it's maybe kind of a mix of both, and which was interesting because in some of the research that I had done, it indicated that like the day one is just kind of warming people up, and then like days 2 and 3 are like some of the bigger days, and then you want to wrap up on like a big note or whatever, just to keep people still interested. But like I said, day one was my biggest day. That was my planner for knitters. Also, a lot of these products I have not really sold to my list before. I had them created, I used them for like summits and things like that. I taught the classes maybe like once or twice, but I did not have them available on demand as a live class. That's something that I've been working on this year, is getting a bunch of those classes up and available to actually sell to my audience. And I just had not told them about it yet, really. So this was a nice way for me to be able to share several of those offers all at once without like, yeah, spreading it all out and doing all the emails for it and everything. So the planner I think was about $18 on the sale for 50% off. I had a little over $350 of revenue and I had 19 sales. So like I said, that was my biggest day. My second day, I did my top 10 knitting patterns. And so I did my 5 favorite patterns and my 5 best sellers for knitting patterns. And I did all of those 50% off. I went back and forth on like, do I do a bundle? Do I let them be individual? I was going to have the option where they could buy individual or buy the whole bundle. And I just ran out of time on the bundles. So they were just individual. And I did end up with, I forgot to pull the numbers because this was not on Thrivecart, but I think it was about 10 sales. I had a little over $50 in sales. It was very slow. Like most of the sales were in the evening. So anyway, after the first day, I was like, oh, so excited. I'm like, oh my goodness, this is so amazing. I'm so like, excited that this went so well, and then like kind of expecting the next days to go similarly. And so then that second day I was like, oh, it's not going the same. But it was interesting. I mean, it reminds us of when we have that low ticket product, that low ticket offer, even if almost as many people buy it, our revenue, our actual sales from that are going to be a lot lower. And that is why we so often talk about having other streams of revenue in our businesses. So things like classes, or a lot of people will add on physical products like project bags or yarn or stitch markers or things like that. And other printables, writing a book, even like having a collection or a bundle or an ebook that increases the average order value, so that even if you have less sales, usually you're making more money. So yeah, that was, well, that and day 5 were my lowest. They were very similar in actual revenue. So then day 3, I wasn't expecting to be as big because it was more geared towards beginner knitters. So I know that a lot of people in my audience are not beginners. My offer was this 4 mini courses, this bundle for newer knitters to learn how to read knitting patterns, how to read charts, all that kind of like more basic stuff of knitting. I think it was about $27 for when it was 20%, when it was 50% off. So I sold 4 of those. And also, if you do the math for some of these, you'll realize like the sales times the price of the product does not equal the revenue. That's because I had order bumps. So where I have another offer attached to it, where it's like, would you also like to get this thing at the same time? I had those for 3 of the 5 offers. So I can't do it on the patterns on Ravelry or my website. And then I didn't do it for the last one. Well, actually, I added one later in the day, but nobody bought it. So anyway, yeah. So yeah, I had 4 sales, $133 for the mini course bundle, which, like that's a third of the day 1, but it's still more than double day 2. Not a lot of sales, but it kind of makes sense. So, if you're really trying to think about what you're expecting as an outcome, think about, how much of your audience actually fits this. Does this actually fit your ideal customer? Is this like the people that you're selling to or not? And set your expectations according to that. Okay, day 4 was my knitter's math class, which is a class that I know a lot of people really love. I know that it's super helpful. And I think it was $18.50 on sale. And that was well, actually, it was very similar to day 1 in numbers. I just didn't have as many order bumps purchased. So 18 sales, $330. Yeah, so it's a pretty good day. So what we're seeing here is that the like that Knitter's Math, like the just single course did well. The single, like the planner did well. That mini course bundle, I don't know, like it could be the fact that it was a little bit higher ticket price. It could be the fact that it was, a bundle of 4 instead of just one. But I really think that it has a lot to do with the fact of who the audience was. Okay, and then the final day, the holiday bundle. I was like, okay, this is going to be a really fun and interesting way to end this. It's kind of like kicking it off and jump starting into the holiday knitting season. We have like the indie gift along starting, the fast and off yarn along starting. It just like feels like it's kind of like opening the gates to holiday knitting. So I decided to do a bundle of my holiday printables with gift tags, care tags, stickers, all that kind of stuff, alongside some of my best patterns that are giftable. So really great universal patterns for gifting for the holidays. I originally was going to do 10 patterns in this bundle. So that would have been like a $50 price point. And after seeing how day 2 went, where I was like, okay, people aren't that excited about the patterns. I decided, like maybe we ease off here. So I went back and forth quite a bit trying to decide, do I just do the printables, the holiday gift knitting printables, which is a much lower price ticket offer, or do I continue to keep patterns in there? I ended up deciding to keep the patterns in there. I don't know if that was the best decision. So I had 5 patterns instead of 10. So I sold it for, I think it was $27, or whatever half of 57 is. So I sold 2. I sold 2 all day. I was a little bit disheartened. I was like, this was supposed to be such a fun, like exciting, vibrant way to end, and I just felt like it was like such a dud. Like I totally like missed the mark on that one. Misread the room, all of that kind of stuff. And I really think that it probably was mostly because of the patterns inside of it. I think that people are just not buying patterns right now. And that's consistent with what I've heard from a lot of pattern designers who are seeing their pattern sales are just really low right now. And I think that's our general economy, or general what we're seeing right now is people having a lot more kind of intentionality and discernment in what they're purchasing. Historically, we've seen a lot of people buying knitting patterns because they look good, they look fun, it feels like a good deal, they're cheap, whatever, and so then they just kind of stock up on them. And I think what we're seeing is probably more and more people not buying patterns in advance that they don't know if they're ever going to knit. Not buying things just because it's on a sale, that kind of thing. So my encouragement to you is, if you sell anything besides patterns, really lean heavy on that in your Black Friday promotions. I guess one other thing is, so I think this year's the first time I've ever done 50% off my patterns, and I just did like a flash sale in October where I did 50% off my patterns as like a FOMO, missing out on the festivals kind of thing. It was very sporadic, spur of the moment, not thinking in advance kind of thing. So I did just have that big discount, and I'm worried that that also is like now devaluing the worth of my patterns, because without thinking about it, I did that in October, and now I just did it a month later in November. People weren't that excited about it this time, possibly because it just happened, but also I think because of the reasons that I was just talking about. So there was that fact as well. But I think we're just so used to, as an industry, seeing patterns on sale, seeing patterns for cheap, knowing that I can go buy a pattern for cheap anytime. It just doesn't have as much incentive for folks. The other thing that I am seeing is people really wanting to make sure that they're getting their value for their money. And what I'm not saying is that patterns aren't valuable, but what I am saying is that people often don't see the value in the patterns. And so when we have courses and planners and things like that, they see more of a tangible value in that, where it's like, okay, I'm going to learn something that now I can implement to all these things, or I'm going to use this thing that's like going to make me feel more organized and like put together because I'm doing all these things. I'm, whatever. So they're utilizing these other resources that maybe feel like a more meaningful change, a more meaningful kind of impact on their life. And I'm just guessing that people aren't feeling that way about patterns right now. So those are my thoughts. I'm just feeling like patterns are not the thing right now to be selling if you're wanting to have a successful Black Friday sale. Now, if you you have a highly engaged list of people who are ready to purchase. Maybe they know that you always have a Black Friday deal on your patterns. They're always waiting for it. By all means, do that, of course. If you do something like I did, where you have several different deals, go ahead and test one day of a pattern sale. But I wouldn't recommend doing all 5 days, like, say like a different pattern each day. But of course, you do you. Everything that I say, like, put it through your own filter of what feels good and best to you. But okay, then my other piece that I wanted to share about this is more numbers. So over the course of this 5 days, I had over 100 people unsubscribe, which I know it's just numbers, like whether we're looking at revenue, whether we're looking at sales, whether we're looking at unsubscribers, we know it's just numbers. It's just information. It's data to tell us whatever, blah, blah, blah. But I'll admit, I still have problems when I'm looking at data in like real time. So like I'm in the middle of the sale, in the middle of this promotion, and I just keep seeing these unsubscribers, unsubscribes, and it's tough. So I just want to like put that out there. Say if you're dealing with that, like you're not alone. And it's always one of those things of like, okay, what did I do wrong? What should have I worded differently? What should have I, should have I given them an option to opt out of the Black Friday emails, whatever, blah, blah. Overall, I'm very happy with how I did it. I don't like, I know that I don't actually feel guilty about what I put out there. It's just like that people pleasing piece, and that like, I don't know, that losing people kind of feeling. But so there's that part of the reality. And at the same time, I am like almost 100% confident that this is probably the biggest Black Friday sale I've ever had for Snickerdoodle Knits for this brand. And this is like a decent amount of revenue for that brand. So I made just shy of $1,000 on the end of day 4. I was like, oh, I'm definitely going to pass $1,000, because I thought that day 5 was going to go well. And then I think I needed 4 sales to get past $1,000. And then, I got 2. So that was another little bit of a bummer for me. But anyway, so yes, I lost like 2% of my list. And at the same time, I made money. And that is something that is like almost always true when you are sending emails, when you are making, trying to sell something. The more emails that you send, the more money that you make, and the more people that unsubscribe. And what we have to keep remembering, what I keep reminding myself, have been reminding myself over the whole promotion, is that if those people aren't ever going to buy from me, if those people just like, they don't feel magnetized to me, they don't feel like it's worth sticking around for me, that's okay. That's okay. Like, it's okay to let go of those people. The little voice in my head is always like, what if I just misrepresented myself? What if I did that wrong? That's my voice that I'm like overcoming, but the truth is, like, if they're not our people, they're not our people, and that's okay. And especially like, and I've been meaning to send some emails to this list that I haven't, that are a bit more personal, a bit more about my story, a bit more about like what's happened over the last few years. And it does feel safer to know that, like, okay, some of these people that maybe just aren't my people are gone, and maybe there's a safer space now for me to share more vulnerably. So I'm reminding myself of that as well. And yeah, but I feel like it was also very affirmative that like, all right, when I send emails, when I actually, share my products, I make more money. Of course, I'm very much on the track of not everything is about money, but also, as you know from my last episode, it is important to me that I do make money. So there's that. And then the other thing that I wanted to mention was that this is the first. So, okay, so I've lost like 2% of my email list, right? I lost over 100 subscribers. And I also, I feel like this is maybe the first time I've received emails like this, but I could be wrong. I received emails from two different people who were like, thank you so much for selling this. Thank you so much for having this sale. I'm like, what in the world? Like, I've heard from other people, like, here, like, people thanking them for selling to them. I have people like thank me for like amazing patterns and things like that. But to like literally have people be like, thank you for doing this sale. Thank you for having this promotion. Thank you for sending these emails. It's like, that also was very affirming. Of like, okay, there really are people that find this so valuable, and people who are like, they're like, this course is amazing. I'm so glad that you made it and you're selling it to me. Like, okay, this is like amazing, because that's exactly, like that's the kind of work that I want to have, is the kind of work that people are like, it really feels like it makes a difference for them, and it is meaningful, and like, it's not like they feel like I'm just trying to shove something in their face. And that's, something that I always talk about is that, when we're passionate about what we're doing, and when we're leading from the customer's perspective, and just sharing things with them that they need, that they're looking for, that are going to make their life easier, that makes our selling easier, it makes their buying easier, but it also then means that we get emails like this that are people are like, thank you for selling to me. So yeah, that was my Black Friday experience for 2025 with Snickerdoodle Knits. And I just wanted to put it out there in case it is helpful at all as you are finalizing your Black Friday sales, as you're thinking about what your Black Friday sales are, but also, you're just thinking about any sales or promotions, or, what you're focusing on offering and selling in this season. So hope this was helpful. If, of course, you have any questions or want to talk through any of it with me, go ahead and email me, and happy to chat more. You can also send a fan mail message to let me know if you found that this episode was helpful or inspiring or impacted anything about your Black Friday sale. Alrighty, I'll catch you on the next one.